I'm not an art guy, so I don't look, it's a painting. You know? Like the Mona Lisa don't do that for me, man. First of all, it's a dude, so it's a dude. I mean, what are we talking about? Am I wrong?
No, you talking about the Mona Lisa?
Is the Mona Lisa and it a dude?
No.
The Mona Lisa is a dude. John, am I tripping? I'm tripping. Yes. No, man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Bench. Of course, I'm DeMarcus, and I got my ace, Boone Coon, as they call it, John, with me today.
What up?
In place of my boy Ty. Ty, I know he's handling some business, off camera. So, like I said, I hope all is well with that, as always. But John, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just chilling.
Chilling, yeah. Hey, man, I want to tell you congratulations, sir, because I'm watching these reels of you on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
And like, bro, they're going stupid.
Are they really?
They're going stupid. So I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know if it's the swag. I don't know what it is, but I looked at the last three reels we had on there, and man, you got 1,000 views.
Yeah,
on each one, man.
I think it's just
Ty, you better watch out, man. John got everybody looking at the podcast, man.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing, right? I think it was just highlighting on big moments that are happening. Using those titles. Or whatever.
But no,
it ain't got nothing to do with me though.
No, I think like I said, you've been really getting crafty with your reels and stuff on YouTube and all of everything else, of course. So, but man, like I said, always great to have you on here. I know you're always behind the camera, so y'all don't always get to see John. So it's always good to have him on here. And I always like him being here with me because he does bring, good value to our topics too as well. So first thing first, before we get into the, meat and potatoes of today's episode, which today's episode we're doing majority a NBA opening night recap.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that just happened. Just happened with his NBA is back. I'm so happy that it's back.
Yep.
And then of course we got an array of other things going on around the world in sports, so we'll kind of get into that a little bit today. But like I said, before we get started, make sure you click that like button, subscribe button, click the follow button, and share our content, like I said, because the community is growing, and by you doing that, as you're doing your part to help the content keep growing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so first things first, John, let's get right into baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah, so we're going to get into baseball. I know we don't talk a lot of baseball on this podcast, but I know, like me and Ty have said, me and you have said on previous episodes, that baseball this time of year is the best time. If you're not a active watcher of baseball, this is the perfect time to watch it.
It's a great time because this is whenever things start to get real good.
It gets real good. And we just watched the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Philadelphia Phillies in a 7-game series, and actually come back in a 7-game series to now make it to the World Series to play Texas Rangers. So what did you think of the game? Because I was amazed by the Diamondbacks pitching. That's what really got me.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
I whenever I was playing t-ball when I was younger, and up until like a certain age, I was always on the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
Isn't that weird? Like,
that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
Because you. Well, not too many little league teams are named Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
So if you're a part of one, that's kind of unique.
And I don't know how they got the rights to it, but they all were taking the actual like
the logo
and everything, dog. And I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. And I had one of the hats I used to wear back then. Okay. I had that hat up until like maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I always considered them to be my team.
Okay.
Even though when I lived in Atlanta, we would always go to the Braves games.
Yeah.
And I love the Braves. Yeah. So it was just like, but I always found them to be my team. Man,
listen, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of the Diamondbacks. I don't know anybody on their team. I'm gonna be honest with you. But like I say, watching them in this playoff run, they've been very impressive with their pitching, with their hitting. Only time I could ever remember myself growing up watching the Diamondbacks was when Randy Johnson was pitching for them.
That was probably the highlight of the team.
That's what I'm saying. Because
not to say nothing against any of the other players.
Of course,
there were some great players that were on that team. So,
but I just remember him back in the day with the mustache.
Yep.
the trash talking. You know, he was always quick to want to throw a ball at somebody if they said something back to him.
Yeah.
He would throw the next pitch coming to your head.
Right.
And then he just was amazing on the mound. So like that was my memory of the Diamondbacks. And then of course, like I said, last probably 10, 15 years, they haven't been really that good.
Yeah.
But then this year, they've just kind of come out of nowhere. But that's what's the beauty of baseball in this time of year, is because you see all those teams, all the 100-win teams were gone in the first round.
Yeah.
You know, the Dodgers, the Braves, you know, those teams that won all these games that everybody had them as the favorite.
Right.
And then, boom, you got the Diamondbacks and the Rangers playing, you know, in the World Series.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why I say so. That's the reason why, you know, this time of year is so great. I get it. For a lot of people that, you know, that are not like in love with baseball, it's hard to keep up with it just because it's 162 games.
Right. And there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah. So, you know,
and a lot of times I realized whenever I watched baseball, it wasn't necessarily how the overall team was doing. I actually watched it for like the individual players.
Yeah.
And some of those players were just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like when we go to the Braves games, I would always look for Chipper.
Yeah.
Right. Because like that was a big deal back in the day.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we would sit close to the dugout, he would come out and like talk to us and everything.
Really?
So it was kind of cool. I actually got a signed bat.
Okay. Nice.
So
well, that's one thing I like about baseball too, is that I feel like the players interact with the fans more than any other sport. Because even like in hockey, you know, the players sit like basically right in front of the fans, but you know, they got that plastic glass that kind of divides, so you really can't interact with them. You might could talk to them, but it's not the same thing like with baseball. Baseball, like I said, you can literally lean over and you're in the dugout.
Yeah.
Or they can reach up, give you something out the dugout, which like I said, sign bat or something like that. That's always cool.
Yeah.
But that's what I like about baseball, because you know, the players that are the stars, they tend to be very engaging with the fans. So that's always a cool thing. But so now that we know that the Texas Rangers and the Diamondbacks are playing the World Series, I've heard that, you know, this is not like a highly anticipated matchup.
Yeah.
You know, moving into the World Series, which is coming up fast. But like I say, it's still a championship game. The best two teams that are playing the best right now are in the championship game.
Yeah.
Or championship series. So I don't want to take nothing from either one of the teams, because I personally think the Rangers are going to win.
Okay.
Because of the way they've been hitting, their pitching, their defense. I just think they've been just phenomenal on both sides of the bat. Versus the Diamondbacks, I just feel like their pitching has been phenomenal, but their hitting hasn't been. Hitting hasn't been that great. But I know when you talk about winning a 7-game World Series, pitching is very important, because if you can keep them from getting on the plate, then you know, keep them from scoring. So that's sometimes the best defense can be your best offense too.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited for the World Series. Like I say, it's hard to watch one particular sport, because as soon as you watch something, you're like, man, I just missed that.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next thing, then you go to the next thing. So it's like this time of year, man, is so great. So let's transition into, who do you think in your mind will win the World Series?
I don't know. I don't know if I have an exact.
Have a exact pick yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you one of those people, John, that like to, you know, kind of wait it out to see what's going to happen, like the first, second
I'm one
game?
of those that like no one likes, because like, you know, you get to almost the very end and you're like,
it's like, they up 3-1. You're like, I got this team.
I think the hardest part is like, you know, with a lot of people who are like big baseball fans, they're obviously going to be cheering for like that one team. Right?
Yeah.
And so automatically they're like, okay, this person or these people are going to win because this is my team. This is, you know, like they can already suggest.
It's more of a selfish pick.
For me, it's not like that. You know, because like I'm an occasional watcher, and then I just, you know, come in whenever the big games happen.
It's like, it's playoff time. Let me watch. Yeah. So I mean, I'm a Yankees fan myself, and so since we're not in it, I kind of once I realize, okay, we're either going to play in the playoffs or we're not going to play in the playoffs, I kind of start following the teams that I feel like are just playing the best together, that have the most rhythm going into the World Series. And that's kind of how I go off my pick. So that's why with Texas, they've been playing so well that I'm like, okay, based on what I'm seeing from them, if they continue this trend, which they haven't shown any drop off, that in the World Series they should still be able to do the same thing. As long as they're pitching, they're hitting, everything works in line like it's supposed to.
So you're the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm thinking Rangers.
Okay.
I'm thinking Rangers. I think it's 7 games. I think it goes 7 games, but I think the Rangers, you know, come out victorious in the end. But it's gonna be a great. If you love baseball, it's gonna be a great series. But if you're not a fan of the teams, it's gonna be an awful series.
Yeah,
just because you don't want to see those two teams.
Right.
But I think it's gonna be a good one. So, all right, let's talk about hockey, man. So, hockey just recently had all 32 teams on one grand night.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, right? So that's 16 games going on at the same time. I got to pull the numbers up, but I mean, you talking? I think they said over 940, goal shot attempts. I don't know how many fights there were, assists.
Yeah.
I mean, just crazy. But the reason why I bring hockey up in this conversation, which I know there are a lot of hockey fans that watch our podcast. Thank you again for participating and watching. But, hockey is really starting to make some real vital changes in how they present their sport to everybody.
Yeah.
That I feel like they're starting to gain more attention and notoriety to their sport.
Yeah.
Just like the WNBA has been doing the last couple of years.
So, little known fact.
Okay.
I played hockey.
Okay. What position?
I was right wing.
All right.
I only played for like 3 years.
Okay.
It wasn't very long. Yeah, I played ice hockey and roller hockey because they had ice hockey during certain parts of the year, and then they had roller hockey.
Is there a big difference between roller hockey and ice hockey? Besides the surface, of course.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Not too much.
Okay.
I feel like I feel like roller hockey arenas are a little smaller than ice hockey arenas. Not by much, but like just a little bit.
Is that to try to like minimize injury opportunities?
Maybe.
Or chances?
I never really asked that question.
Okay.
But
Okay. I mean, that would make sense because, on an ice hockey rink, falling on ice is going to hurt just as much as falling on concrete.
Yeah.
But I get that's just in my mind. I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're trying to minimize, injury by making it smaller because they're on asphalt versus on ice.
Yeah.
I
would play the occasional goalie if it was just I was like the third person to go to if it was absolutely
third option. Like, okay, he's not here. Yeah. He just got hurt.
Yeah.
John,
just get all your gear on, go.
Yeah.
So it was very, very rare, but it's cool to see how even like back then I was like really big into it. Mm-hmm. It was cool to see how hockey has transformed from then to now, especially with. I think a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was a lot broadcasted back then as far as hockey is concerned, and there's a lot of like people that you look up to, over the years, and it was all of that. Like the nostalgia part of it is kind of similar to NBA and everything else, but I feel like they've kind of turned a corner in this, at least the last like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And I saw the other day, I don't know if you're going to bring this up or not. We didn't talk about this.
Yeah.
I saw the other day that on the Blackhawks, there's the youngest player.
He's like what, 18, 19?
Yeah, he's 18, yeah, Connor Bedard.
Looks like a little baby out there.
Yeah.
Looks like a kid out there.
Well, I think they were doing an interview. I don't remember who the other person was next to him, but they were going to be playing against each other during this big play
Start of the season,
the start of the season.
Yeah,
and it was cool watching him interact with them. He was like, it's an honor to be able to be on the stage and everything else, and being able to play against you guys. And he was very level-headed. It didn't appear as though he didn't seem nervous. No.
He definitely has it's one of those quiet confidence.
Yeah,
about himself.
Kind of has that like quarterback confidence.
Yeah, so because like I say, he seems like a very, like I say, of course, young, quirky kid.
Yeah.
But then when he watches play hockey, he's out there getting the scruffs, getting knocked down, hitting people, taking, stealing the ball, stealing the puck, like really being active on the ice, like he's not an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'm impressed by him is that his ability to just, like I said, get right into the league in the biggest stage and have no problem with being able to keep up.
Yeah. So I didn't get to watch the opening night, but I did see some highlights and everything. But it's just cool to see. I feel like it's just, and I look at this in the sense of a media person, a media guy, being able to see the difference in cameras that they're starting to use now, and the difference in the angles and the difference in the things that they're doing. It just feels more alive. It feels like you're actually there.
Exactly.
You know, and they're doing the same thing in college and NFL, and the NBA. They're doing that. So it's cool to feel like we're making progress towards a lot of stuff. And it still feels cool, but it not feel like this lame game that you're watching on TV from you know, the very top bleachers. You know,
Because like even like now, I've noticed that they're miking up the refs on the ice now.
Miking the refs.
Because last night there was one. I forget what game it was. I want to say it was the Bruins and no, it was Dallas, and it might have been the Boston Bruins, but it was the Dallas Stars, and one of the referees got in the way and knocked down one of the players, and he picked him up. He said, "Oh man, my bad. I was trying to get out the way." He said, "Don't worry, I owe you a beer afterwards." He said, "I got you. I promise you, I got you a beer afterwards." So like that's kind of cool to see that interaction with the refs, which, you know, in this day and age, referees are not very liked.
No, and
across especially more so. I would say it's more so in the NFL because they tend to get more things wrong than other sports.
They also hold themselves, and I've noticed this in a lot of times when a lot of games, they hold themselves to a really high standard. So like when, you know, some you know, multi-million-dollar NFL player comes up and hits them, they're gonna have a problem with that.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Or if they get into a spat because he decided to, you know, throw a flag on something that was didn't seem like it was all that big of a deal. You know, these guys are getting fined left and right. And
absolutely.
This is all from the lips and the viewpoint of the referees.
Absolutely.
You know?
So that's why I say, just like you're talking about with hockey, I'm noticing they're starting to do more things, especially with the camera. The camera is the biggest thing I noticed. They're even doing like the drone over the ice now. Well, to where you can follow players and everything, which I think is awesome. That you can, I mean, some people, you know, a lot of the traditional hockey fans are like, oh, I don't want all that. It's too much going on. I just want to see hockey. I want to see them fighting. I want to see, you know, goals.
And those things will happen. But like, so do other people. Like, you know what I mean? Like they want to see it in a different way. And
I think it's amazing.
You know, we're living now in a world where watching a movie is starting to get boring.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
I don't know about you, but like, for me, John, it's like and I'm sure a lot of people out here might agree with this, but I remember a time when I was a young pup that I got extra excited when I saw trailers. And now when I see movie trailers, like, will I go see that one? I don't know. Maybe, you know, or it's like, I'll wait for that one to come on streaming. Because now everything's in the movies. And then literally 3 weeks later, it's streaming. So it's like, why even go to the movies when I can just wait a few weeks, especially if it's not a popular movie, and just wait a few weeks and then boom, it's streaming. So, but it's the same thing. So it's like they got to find a way, you know, with that, and just like with sports, you got to find a way to keep people coming back. Wanting more, wanting to participate, because you know there is a stigma about hockey that hockey's only for one group of people. And I think they're kind of tired of that being that stigma when they're trying to bring more people into the sport, just like baseball, trying to bring more people into the sport.
They're just trying to give a better perspective on the sport, you know? And if that means changing the viewpoint of how the game is being played, so be it. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for the things that are happening. And I think that, you know, I feel like a lot of people who aren't necessarily in the same career path that I am may not view it that way. You know, maybe, like you said, may view it as like a distraction or not needed or not necessary. But I think that
I mean, people that do what you do, and I think since we've been on our journey on this podcast and where you have brought it to where it is now and what people are really, you know, looking for when it comes to it's all because of the vision that you've had behind the camera. So I look at that the same way in sports. It's like the production and the camera angles and the different things that people are doing now. It's bringing more people to that sport that probably never even would have looked at sport.
More than likely, they wouldn't have.
They wouldn't have looked at it, and a lot of it's because of what they've seen on TikTok, Instagram, some type of reel, some type of video that say, "Oh man, let me check that out." If that's what's going on with that sport,
right?
Because I feel like that's what pickleball has done. Because it's become crazy.
absolutely wild. If you would have told me,
no, bro,
5 years ago that this
when they first came, when I first saw like a glimpse of that, I was like, "There's no way, that's gonna take off and be some like global sport," and now it is.
Yeah, and my wife's grandfather, has a pickleball court in his driveway.
But listen, I can see in the next 10 to 15 years, like people literally everywhere having pickleball courts in their either backyard or their front yard.
Yeah.
It's like, look, let me pull out my little net, boom, front, because your driveway could be a pickleball court.
Right, you can do it anywhere.
You literally can have your driveway, or like you say,
paint some lines, you're good to go,
and then you're good to go. So and I think that's what makes it so interesting and attractive to people, because you can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
You don't have to have some big, lavish type setup to be able to do it. You just need to have the paddles, the net, and enough space to put the lines.
Yeah.
So, but no, I'm definitely, like I say, what hockey's been doing. And like early in this 2023 season, I'm liking what I'm seeing from a lot of different teams. Of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins always are good, doing good. Mm-hmm. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. The defending champs right now, they look pretty strong, which I thought was crazy, because when they first came into the NHL, their owner said they was going to win a Stanley Cup in 8 years, and he did it in 7.
Oh wow!
So just to see, and just to hear those little back comments, which you never really hear in hockey. Which I want to bring this to your attention, see what you thought about this.
All right.
So I was watching Pat McAfee show. Okay. Shout out to Pat McAfee, big fan. Hope he's watching us.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
If not, one day, maybe have him on. But he brought up a point, because he was talking to, I forget what player he was talking to. I think his name was Austin something. I can't remember the last name of the player. But he was asking him, why is it that with, NHL players, you don't really hear a lot of off the ice things with them like you do with any other sport, like you hear with basketball, which we're going to get into here in a little bit, where basketball, they've had a little bit of an issue with domestic violence here lately, with players off the floor. Mm-hmm. Football's always got something going on. Baseball, if you hear something off the field, it's more of something, when it comes to violations of the league, not so much trouble in the streets. It's more of like, okay, this one got caught taking steroids, so he's suspended.
Right.
But I thought about that, right before we came on. I was like, man, that's actually, he's not lying. You don't really hear too much about hockey players really getting into anything off the ice. And, when he asked also, I was like, man, I guess if I had to put a finger on it, it's a lot of guys, just normal guys that just want to play hockey. They're not really out like that,
What I've noticed at least in the hockey leagues, is majority of these guys are super nice.
Yeah.
And like they have just a different upbringing, and so, and a different discipline. So a lot of them are, just in this different vein sometimes.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's not like that in other sports, and it is in other sports, but my other opinion is, because if you get upset or you get mad and you're in the league, you could literally just have it out in the ice rink.
That's true.
Like if someone trips you up, you just take the gloves off and start going, and they'll allow it for a certain period of time.
Especially if y'all both, going back and forth with, now once somebody get the advantage and they kind of break it up or they fall or something like that.
And you do get penalized for those interactions, but like that, I think that is literally the only sport currently that I know of that it's okay. Like if you need to like go at it, do it. You know what I mean? Like
referees kind of block everybody off and say, all right, do your thing, and then give you 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's over with.
It's over with.
And then you notice too, like you say, when they have those moments, the game goes on like it never happened.
Yeah, it just keeps going, and that's what a lot of fans wait on. They wait for like moments.
That's
like that.
I ain't gonna lie. That's what I go to hockey games for. I just want to see them fight. I want to see them fight. I'm not gonna lie, John.
Yeah,
I don't really care who wins, who fought, who won the fight though.
Right.
That's what I care about. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of them fans that I mean, of course, I understand the elite skill that these guys are doing with this skating, hitting each other, falling on the ground, keeping up that little bitty puck.
And they're super tough.
I mean, they're super tough.
They remind me a lot of rugby players.
Exactly.
They have just a different mentality, and like their pain level is a lot higher. So like,
yeah, that's true too, because you don't hear a lot of stuff with rugby players off the field either. Because like I say, I think the ability to get out the aggression at those moments when they need to, and then, like I said, they're not penalized in their own sport for it. I think besides combat sports, that's the hockey and rugby is kind of the only sport where it's like, okay, if y'all get into a scuffle, it's all right, we're gonna break it up and we're gonna sit you down for a little bit, calm yourself down, then come on back out here and compete. Yeah. So that's one thing about it. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting, and I wonder if it's like you say, if it's an upbringing of the players from their parents, from their discipline through their coaching coming up in their ranks, or if it's more of the NHL on the backside of everything. Is very.
Well, we all know that those organizations have certain expectations of players.
Exactly.
Right, and they all have to sign something, right? So it's a code of conduct, that kind of thing. I just feel like a lot of them take that more seriously than those of other sports.
Well, also too, it could be, this angle of it too, of their mindset is that, a lot of the hockey players, unless you're a big name hockey player and you got endorsements and you got the big contract, I don't really hear too many hockey players having these big contracts in the league like you do the NFL, like you do baseball, like you do basketball.
Right.
Like, okay, there's 5 to 6 guys on this team, or, 1 or 2 to 3 guys on this team that's making all this money, versus hockey players. I can't name somebody that's like making a $300 million contract.
Right.
You just don't really hear too much about that in hockey.
I mean, other than the ones that are just like phenomenal players.
Yeah.
Which they're all good if they're in the NHL.
Yeah.
Their career time is short.
Short, short-lived, absolutely.
So what they're just trying to stay in the league as long as they can and not cause a bunch of ruckus.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and then also too, I know a lot of the players in NHL, they're very family oriented, because that could be because of upbringings. You don't see too much things they're trying to do that's going to be detriment to their livelihood and of course their family.
Yeah.
All right, so let's transition to basketball, man.
All right.
So like we talked about in the beginning of this episode, this is the NBA opening night recap. So, we just had the first 2 games of the 2023 season happen. You had the Denver Nuggets versus the Lakers, and then you had Phoenix Suns versus the Warriors.
Yep. So,
first things first is I'm uber excited that basketball is around again.
Yeah.
It don't feel like, it's been, you say June when the finals ended, and then now we're in October. Don't feel like it's been 4 months that fast come back around for basketball to be back, but I'm excited. Now, leaning into the first 2 games, I don't want to put too much on these teams. I was texting one of my buddies, his name's Derek. I was texting him, talking to him because he's a big KD fan. Phoenix he kind of follows wherever KD goes, but he's a Phoenix fan too.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, just different things I'm noticing, with their team in this first game, but I don't really want to make too many, strong opinions on these first 2 games. But I will tell you this, one thing I didn't see, the Denver Nuggets are definitely suited to be able to repeat this year based off what I'm seeing from that first game. Phoenix Suns, I think when Bradley Beal, because he didn't play the first game, he had some back spasms or something going on. So when Bradley Beal comes back and we get to see them in full fledged roster, then I think I can make a grade on them. The Lakers, I don't know. For me, the struggle with the Lakers always been is that you're relying on a 40-year-old man, LeBron James, to be your best player, and they've been avid about, okay, we're going to have him on a minute restriction because they're trying to preserve him. So when the playoffs come around and he need to play 40 minutes a game, he's not wore out from the season playing 40 minutes every night.
Yeah.
And then you had Anthony Davis get this 3-year, $186 million deal this summer, which is $62 million a year. So in my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of people watching out there, when you see that type of contract, that you're the man. Like everything's going through you.
Yeah.
And to watch him play against Jokic, who I believe is the best big man and probably one of the best players in the league, for him to go goose egg in the second half when you're supposed to be the guy, like I said, I don't want to put a lot of complaint or any strong opinions on AD in this first game because it's the first game of the year. But it wasn't a good look for him coming out the gate, especially when this offseason they were talking about, hey, man, we can't wait to see them again because how the Denver Nuggets was talking trash. But my favorite part about the game, John, and I'm sure everybody else would enjoy this if they watched the game, was at the very end of the game, the Denver Nuggets fans, which I love fans that see the talk, see the chatter, don't forget it, and then when they have a chance to let you know they don't forget it, they let you know. So at the end of the game, they was chanting, "Who's your daddy?"
Yeah.
At the end of the game, which I thought was amazing. I thought it was. So I'm like, I'm listening, as I'm watching, I'm like, what are they saying? So I turn my TV all the way up, and I'm like, these folks are saying, "Who's your daddy?" And I'm like, man, that's just that type of drama and that rivalry feel in the first game when it lets you know it's gonna be a great year moving forward. And then the same thing with the Warriors and Phoenix. Great game. The Warriors, I don't know if that small ball is going to work. We have to wait and see when Draymond Green comes back. Phoenix looked okay. KD didn't play his best game. That's why I say it's very hard, but like as a overall coming out, those 2 games were good games to start. And then we got more this week coming up to kind of get the season really rolling.
You know how most seasons start out don't necessarily mean it's going to be that way at the end.
Of course. I mean, you look at the NFL right now. NFL, everybody, all these Super Bowl contenders are not Super Bowl contenders no more.
Right.
And we're 8 weeks in now. So that's why I say I don't want to put a lot of onus on what I saw these first 2 games. I think once we get deeper into the season, start getting 20, 30 games on their belt, and of course we're going to continue to talk about the NBA on this podcast like we always do. But I'm like you. I don't want to put too much on it, but I'm just excited to have it back on TV because now it's like before it's like, okay, you got college football, you got NFL, but that's only 2 days a week. Like NBA is like 3-4 days a week.
Yeah.
So now I got more to watch.
You got to go home and watch whatever game's coming on.
Yeah. Plus,
or I'm have like your computer up.
Yeah, I'm an NBA League Pass type of guy, so I like to have.
You have them all going.
I got all of them going.
There you go.
So I have my laptop, I have my phone, I have my TV going. So I got 3-4 games going on at one time, and I got my tablet too. So I have like literally 4 screens. Up watching games.
That's a good idea.
So I always enjoy it. So what did you think? Did you catch any of the game?
I didn't get a chance to catch the games. Well, actually, I take that back. I did a little bit. I was at the barber shop.
Okay. which is always a great place to watch sports.
Yeah,
that's where you really get the conversations going, the debates going.
Yeah, my barber he had it on.
Okay.
It was the Warriors game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was watching that a little bit. I mean, I didn't see anything too insane.
Yeah.
On that one.
But. Yeah. I mean, like I say, it's first games of the year. I'm excited for the match. I know, like our boy Nate. I know he's excited to see what Dame's gonna do with Milwaukee. Yeah. I'm excited for my boy Victor Wembanyama. Playing on my Spurs, which I can't wait to see how he, what he does this season. I don't want him to, become some superstar. Right now, I want him to develop into a superstar.
Let me ask you. I don't think I've ever asked you. Okay. Like, why the Spurs?
Why the Spurs?
Yeah.
There's, I would say, probably 5 reasons. Okay. First reason.
This is his favorite team.
This is my favorite team. For everybody that don't know, this is my NBA team.
So I'm gonna ask the question again.
Okay. All right. So
why are the Spurs your favorite NBA team?
Spurs are my favorite NBA team for, like I said, 5 reasons. Coaching.
Yeah.
Okay. Player development. Organization. I would actually say culture. I guess that organization can kind of go hand in hand, but culture on the team, and then just the originators of a lot of things.
Okay.
So when I say originators, like I saw a post today that I'm gonna post later, is they had Tim Duncan, they had Manu Ginobili, and they had Tony Parker, and then the caption was Mr. Fundamental, Mr. Eurostep, Mr. Floater. So, and it also goes to say, they were the ones that,
they trademarked these styles.
They trademarked those styles. Yeah. So because of them, it became more popular.
Yeah.
So and then also another thing I liked about them is, like I say, we always had, great players come through our organization, but we just, you never really seen too much off the court problems with our guys,
right?
Which I enjoyed. And then, like I say, we had guys like Tim and Tony and Ginobili talk trash, but they just play basketball. And I'm the type of player growing up. I've always been a player of, I'm not the most flashy, I'm not the most skilled, I'm not the most this or that. But like I say, intelligent wise, I know how to play the game. I know how to play with other people that necessarily I don't know. So being able to communicate, play together, work together, play hard, with guys on your team, that's what I learned from the Spurs. Mm-hmm. So they just taught me how to play the game in the most purest form. So that's why I like them. But I have other players in the league growing up. I've always watched, and like Paul Pierce is one of my favorite players. Tracy McGrady, T-Mac, one of my favorite players. Vince Carter, one of my favorite players, and of course Michael Jordan. So like, there's tons. I mean, and I'm a fan of LeBron. I know a lot of people think I hate LeBron. I'm not a LeBron hater. I do criticize him strictly on his game. Off the floor, if I had a daughter and it was to meet somebody of his caliber, I'd be happy.
Sure.
Because, off the court, phenomenal dad, phenomenal businessman, philanthropist, all the things that you would think that an NBA or professional athlete supposed to do, he does. So I can't knock him on that. But I feel like as a podcaster, as a sports podcaster, that sometimes being critical of certain players is necessary. Yeah. But we also on this podcast, like we always do, try to uplift players and uplift more than we try to tear down, because there's enough tearing down going on social media.
Yep.
And we don't always want to participate in that, but we also want to have opinions when necessary in certain moments and in certain debates. So, but yeah, I've had a lot of players that I've enjoyed watching growing up, that I've, taken some things from them that I have, from others. But no, Spurs, I mean, you can't go wrong being a Spurs fan, man. We got the Alamo. I mean, come on. Who don't like the Alamo? Yep. Shout out to Justin out there, in old San Antonio, man. I hope everything's going great for him out there.
Yeah, I hope he's doing well.
You know what I'm saying? So that,
I know he's doing well.
Yeah, I know.
I've been texting. acting like I haven't talked to him since he left. I hope he's doing well.
I know he's doing well. Nah, I actually talked to him today. This morning I talked to him. Nah, but no, that's what I'm saying. So, and the thing about it, like, I haven't been to any Spurs game, which they come to New Orleans, so I go watch them in New Orleans, but I want to go to the Spurs, to AT&T Center and watch them play. But it's just tough because of schedules and all that stuff and everything we have going on with the podcast and everything we have going on outside. But eventually one day, especially now with the excitement back in the building, with a new franchise guy or potential franchise guy, so we definitely gonna have to make a trip to San Antonio one day and visit the city, and of course go to a game and all that. But that's why I like the Spurs, man. They've always been a team of trying to compete with excellence or strive for excellence, and then, like I said, if they fall short of that, it still puts them in a good spot. Now, it's been rough. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, it's been rough the last few years. Mm-hmm. As you can see, I'm a Miami Hurricane fan too, because I got all this Miami stuff. But it's rough right now for my teams.
Yeah,
from the Yankees to the Hurricanes, to the Spurs. It's not me. I'm not doing very well. I cut the Bears. I cut them loose.
Yeah.
My buddy told me, hey man, you can't be. Hey, hold on. I've been a Bears fan for over 20 plus years. I think I have the right. If you're not doing it no more for me, I have the right to. Now I'm not no bandwagon fan. I'm not gonna go jump and be on some. I'm just gonna be a fan of football for the rest of the year.
For a while, at least a fan of NFL.
Just a fan of NFL.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll start interviewing other other teams.
Hey Marcus, I got to tell you this, man.
Okay.
I got to tell you this.
Okay.
You are not your team.
Listen, man. Listen. You can't, John. You can't tell me that, man, because I know I'm playing a part in everything going on.
Yeah.
Because from me paying for stuff.
Oh no, yeah, you're invested.
I'm invested. Yeah. So that's why, just like everybody I'm sure watching, who invest in our podcast and invest in their sports team, you can't tell us that, man.
Yeah.
It's real.
It's funny to see or to watch, the reactions of sports fans, because they're so emotionally invested in the team, and I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. So especially like when you're you've been raised on this team.
Yeah.
Like when
it becomes a family thing.
Exactly. It's not just, I'm a fan of football. No, my dad, my grandpa, my grandpa, like everybody, all the men in my family have been this fan.
Yeah, I never asked why.
That's the first time. Yeah, that's the first time though. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, so I mean that's like it was like that for anything.
Yeah.
For family related stuff.
Yeah,
I never said, why do we do this or why do we do that? No, it's like we do this. You know what I mean?
Yep. Exactly. So that's why. Same thing for me. Just being raised on that team and all the teams I've been raised on, it just naturally fit to be a fan of their team. But I've also been very, I'm objective of my team when I know we're not doing well. But now there are some, the Dallas Cowboys fans of the world where it's like, oh, we're always Super Bowl team. No, we're not. Not every, no, exactly. Yeah. Like it's that I'm not that type of fan. Like I'm objective enough to say, okay, we're terrible. Yeah. We need to do better in these areas. We do better in these areas, then we can be that actual contender.
Right.
Or, if we're already there and then I'm never like talking trash, but I'm like, all right, look, we're top 5 in the league right now, whatever sport it is. So we're competing. We're not winning, but we're competing. Yeah. We're not even competing and we're not winning. So right now I'm in a bad place.
Right.
So, but, as for basketball, definitely always been a Spurs fan. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see what the NBA is going to bring, because we got the play-in tournament this year. That's going to be coming around in December, which is like almost a midpoint of the season. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. I'm excited to see all the movements, Dame playing with the Bucks, Drew Holiday with the Celtics. So I'm excited to see, all the different moves. Of course, Chris Paul with the Warriors, how he's going to fit long term with them versus if they're going to move him again. So yeah, just seeing where we are so far, I'm excited and enjoying what I saw in these first 2 games. So I got to ask you a question when it comes to players in the league, right, in the NBA. So there's a particular player I want to talk about. His name's James Harden. Okay.
Side-eye Harden.
Side-eye Harden. So in your notes I sent you, I asked this question. I want to ask people out there that's watching, is James Harden, is he ruining his career?
I feel like this has been a repetitive thing for James.
Yeah.
At least for media outlets talking about it.
Yeah.
This was kind of a big deal back in June.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of headlines, saying that he's just out here doing things he really needs to change or do something different or and so and then there was one back in last year.
Yeah.
Someone made like a whole montage about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like
I feel like me personally, I feel like he is because like I say, to look at him over his, the entirety of his career, to be drafted to Oklahoma City and to be playing with Russell Westbrook, playing with KD, being that young nucleus that everybody was thinking like, okay, this is the 3 guys they can really turn this franchise around with. Okay, then he gets traded to Houston. He goes over to Houston, he becomes an offensive juggernaut. And I'm talking scoring 30, 40 points, can't be stopped. His, creating fouls, just being so MVP, just having such an impact on the game and changing the game forever when it comes to scoring, the different ways to do it and how to really, use the referees and, use people's defense against, like you saw that. And then to watch him go to, to get himself out of Houston, go to Brooklyn, stay there, not really be all in the whole time he's there, kind of injury prone while he's there, then force his way out of there, then go to Philly, and now he's trying to force his way out of Philly. And my thing is like, what's the end game? Because
he just seems not happy.
Yeah, so it's like if you force yourself out of Philly and you go to the next team, I don't see with the behavior that he's displaying right now, I don't see why any team
would want to pick him up.
Yeah. And that's the struggle for me. Is like, it's one thing to say, okay, because like Dame Lillard, when they asked him, if he was ready to leave, he said, well, he didn't come out and say, I hate Portland. He said, hey man, Portland has been great to me. I appreciate what they've done for me. But if we're not going to make these type of steps, then it might be best for me to leave.
Yeah. And
go somewhere else. And they honored him and sent him somewhere where he can compete for a championship. At the same time, they can compete later on down the road for a championship if all the pieces.
It was a nice way of saying that the team isn't going to work well with me, is what he's saying.
Exactly.
But with Harden,
that's what I'm saying. Every team he's went to, he's gotten what he want.
Yeah.
And it's still not enough.
Yeah.
And by you behaving the way, not coming to practice, not showing up for, media stuff, not showing up for team related stuff. Like I said, now if you have an excuse with the team, whether it's family or whatever it is, that's one thing. But the energy that he's displaying and all the things he's saying about Philly, how could you do all that and then think that somebody's supposed to pick you up?
Yeah.
Somebody's supposed to actively pick up the phone and say, hey, we want James Harden on our team because we know we can trust him and he's not going to behave that way with us. Versus just saying, hey, man, look, behind closed doors, I think it's best for me to leave.
It's like any other business, mm-hmm. right? If you're not producing, they'll know you by your actions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not producing or your attitude is a certain way or mm-hmm. you're going to be like at some point they have to make a business decision and say this isn't going to work for us anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not that you are going to just be able to figure this out on your own
mm-hmm.
and go to another team,
mm-hmm.
which might happen.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a lifeline out there for him.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though that at some point, like you said, they're just going to stop because it's not going to make good business sense for
mm-hmm.
them to pour money into somebody who's going to be like that.
Yeah. And plus with the way he's acting, it's affecting them even more because Joel Embiid, because he's gone through this several times now with Jimmy Butler, now with James Harden, and then before that with Ben Simmons. So like he's had guys that they've brought in and say, hey Joel, this is who we're going to use to help you get to the next level, help you get to the championship, help you be in that championship game so you can really put your skill set on display like these other bigs are doing in the league.
Yeah.
Every time they bring him somebody, this is what happens.
Yep. So
who's to say that Joel's not going to say, you know what, it's time for me to go.
Right.
Because why am I putting in all this work every offseason, every season, MVP candidate, all these different things I'm doing individually and, as a cohesive group with the team that I think I'm doing it with, and then to turn around the guy that's supposed to be my road dog, my ride or die to help me get to the next level is telling me he don't want to be here. So that's why I think him is just ruining his more so than ruining his career, it's ruining his reputation,
mm-hmm.
and it's causing him not to be looked at as the elite player that he used to be, and now he's turned into like a player that like just nobody wants to have in their organization. And it's sad and it's unfortunate, man, because he's a great player, but it really doesn't make sense to me why he's doing what he's doing.
I mean, he either feels like he's untouchable,
mm-hmm.
and he feels like he's worth something more than what other people are viewing him as,
mm-hmm.
or he really does have a sour attitude,
mm-hmm.
and at some point he's just given up,
Yeah.
And that's unfair for the ones that are actually trying to make the NBA.
Yep.
At some point you lost your passion.
Mm-hmm.
These other guys are fighting their way to get to the NBA.
Yep.
Go ahead,
trying to stay in the NBA.
Yeah, go ahead and move on then.
Yeah. Because you're one of the players. You've made enough money in the NBA that if you want to step away from the NBA, you can.
Yeah.
You're not hurting in that position to where you can't step away. But like you said, there's a lot of guys on their team and on other NBA teams that are barely on the team and are trying to make the team, and it's so much energy being put into a person that just don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And it's sad when you have media days and you have all these conferences where the topic's all that versus, hey man, how the outlook on the year is more what is James doing? What is James doing? What is he doing? Are y'all keeping him? Is he staying? Who gonna trade for him? And it's just unfortunate because you've watched a lot of trades go down this summer, from Bradley Beal to Dame Lillard to Drew Holiday, and you see teams actively trying to make their team better, and Philly is still going through all of what they're going through and just not able to put it together. So that's what's going to be a struggle for them, which they was top 3 in the East last year. I don't see them being top 3 this year.
Yeah.
Because of all this going on. I think it's going to be Milwaukee or Boston, whoever plays the best at the right time of the year, I think that's going to be coming out the East. Now the West is going to be a gauntlet because the West got, the top 10, 11 teams are all good teams.
Yeah.
So that's why I said the West is going to be a true gauntlet, a fight to the top. The East, not so much. So we'll have to wait and see. But, man, John, I want to thank you, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on as always, man. It's been a very, very good episode. I think it's refreshing for everybody to see you from behind the camera. I know they hear your voice all the time, but they're like, man, what's that dude doing? So
he's back there yelling all the time.
Yeah, he's all there yelling. So
telling him to stop and go and everything.
Yeah.
No, and I enjoy being on it. And, obviously it's not, like ideal because, all these big sports gurus are the ones that you're, interviewing or people that you're having to talk to. But I enjoy.
Like I said, man, like I said, the numbers don't lie, man. What you're doing on YouTube right now, bro, I got to have you on more. I got to have you on more, man. You getting the views and the likes up, man. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if it's your demeanor. I don't know what it is, but we got to keep you on here, man, because like I said, you bringing the fans.
I gotta study more sports culture then if I won't be on. Not to say that I don't know some.
You can always come from the more analytical background if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Like I said, if necessary. But I this past weekend, I went to a wedding, so I met a couple people that I told, hey man, I got a podcast, and they were like, look, if you need me to come on, man, I'll come on. I said, well, you're in luck because me and my boy John has been doing a lot of Skype style interviews, so we got getting that down packed now. Yeah. So it'd be be good to have you on. And plus, like I said, I got some other people lined up like we talked about earlier this month. So just getting all the scheduling in line, and like I said, it'll all come together like it's supposed to.
For sure.
So, but as always, man, we want to thank y'all for watching today's episode. Make sure, like I said in the beginning, you hit that like button. If you watch us on YouTube, subscribe. Yep. Follow us on Facebook. Share our content on Facebook. Share us on YouTube. So that way everybody can, and also follow us on our other social medias, which is always listed down below. And, make sure to comment down below. Let us know what you thought about today's episode. And before we get out of here, I want to send a shout out to all of our sponsors of the podcast, which our first sponsor is Play Sports Pools. You got basketball going on right now. You got hockey going on right now, football, college football. You got the NHL. You got everything going on right now. So it's a perfect time to get involved with Play Sports Pools. And then, of course, Transformation Church, we want to give a shout out to them because they make the venue possible for us. Yep. So thank y'all for being sponsors and and being true supporters of the podcast. But like I said, comment down below. Let us know what you thought about today's episode. We'll be sure to implement it on the next episodes coming up. But make sure you stay tuned, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Until then, have a great day. Peace.